Hey Drew, Tommy here. Thanks for your work in week 5. Want to send you a quick video reply and just think with you a little bit about this kind of inheritance that you and I have, the kind of expression of Christianity that has dominated the imagination of generations leading up to ours, at least in certain social contexts. And that imaginary is one in which who Jesus is, what you call the work of Jesus, is really fixated on a kind of um, isolated person. Jesus kind of heals people one at a time, or the power, relevance of his life is all kind of forced through this grid of what individual people experience. And consequently, not only are we blind to all of the sort of communal or social or structural ways that Jesus's power and work are manifest in Matthew and in life. But then we become, I think, actual uh, sort of perpetrators of a certain kind of blindness or repression. In other words, we enable all kinds of social or communal evils by covering over the way that Jesus is relevant to them. And in that way, we sort of prop them up in Christian terms. It's insidious. Um, so, obviously, I think at the level of Christian teaching, at the level of how we talk to each other, what we say Christianity is about, however casually we're expressing that to one another with our words, we want to try to unlearn those fashionable lies that litter Christian speech and to promote ways of describing Christianity and Jesus that bring back into view the fundamentally social nature of Jesus's power and his work. Now, that said, I think that I feel this sort of caution arising in my own mind because, of course, we also have a, a history, both ancient and recent, of emphasizing the collective to such an extent that the particulars of individual people are both made invisible and sacrificed. And so I don't think that that is really the kind of communal or social vision of the gospel that we want, where we find ourselves emphasizing what Jesus is doing at like a structural or social level in such a way that um, the personal and particular needs of people are effectively sort of muted. And I think that we won't, this is not really a matter of choosing, because I think that in truth, the only human that there is a social reality that is made up of um, utterly unique individual ingredients, contributions to that reality. And these are in a kind of constant dialectic rather than one being, the priority over the other. Um, so I hope that what that can lead us to do is to be able, like arguably we see in Matthew, to talk about the healing of a particular person, to talk about what God has done in a particular person's life, but to describe that in such a way that um, what comes through for ourselves and others is how that person is herself an organ of a larger social whole, so that what is happening to her is happening to a community of people. And what is happening to a community of people is happening to her. So the way that the individual and the communal are always intertwined with each other strikes me as something that Christians need to learn to describe more truthfully, more faithfully than we do, to avoid the tendency that you're highlighting here, which is to kind of fetishize individuals in a way that props up all kinds of social and communal sins, but also avoids the tendency of describing the collective or the structural or the social in such a way that the highly personal and particular features of that social reality are eclipsed. Um, I think that that's also important for each one of us, that we want to see others and be seen ourselves in all of our particularity. We don't want to be conceived of as the cog of a collective machine where we're just one of so many interchangeable parts. We have names, we have histories, we have stories, um, particular matrices of relationships, all of which deserve to be named and nurtured in a whole variety of ways. So hopefully we can learn the art that is involved in attending to the personal, the individual, the social, the communal at once, as opposed to thinking that we have to choose one or the other or to prioritize one over the other. Anyway, thanks for a great response and a kind of probing reflection here. Hope we can keep thinking about this and talking about it in the weeks ahead.